Okay, I'm Cindy Hart. This is the Road Committee, September 10th, 2018. We're here to discuss we've just gone through doing a road inventory. Leslie Berlin, Chuck, myself, and Ken Wynn went over every road in the town. On the first day that we did it, we had a man with us from the state who showed us what to look for and how to do a proper inventory on the road. And at that point, Arnie and Ken were following us on day one. On day two, we did it with Ken and Chuck and Leslie and myself and finished all the roads, and we have an evaluation ready, and Chuck has got a presentation for tomorrow night that we'll present at the selectmen's meeting, but we wanted to bounce off what we had done, and also we've passed you some new laws and regulations as to who has responsibility for what work is done, and we'd like to get some feedback from what kind of support we will get with this, because we can continue to get prices, we can go in a lot of directions. We also went back over the bridges, and Chuck and I went out last week, and he took quite a few more pictures, so those will be ready to go, and we have some ideas. So I just want to turn it over and really ask, you've had a chance to view it electronically, and we want to hear some feedback from you. And I don't know who there would like one of these to look at, but we've got a couple more.
To be honest, I did not look at the electronic version. I was looking forward to the paper version. That's my method of looking at things, and I thought you were going to do a recap of it verbally along with the paper version.
Okay.
Oh, we can do that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I
I'll let
prefer to
Chuck
do.
I'll let Chuck take over with that, and we can go right through it. Perfect.
What I'm looking at, going through first is the Acton Road Committee presentation. This was more the detailed report versus the PowerPoint, which is tomorrow. That should be about, I don't know, I didn't put this together.
This is the PowerPoint presentation.
I don't see it. Doesn't look like there was a copy in this package.
What is it? Maybe I have it.
I may have it here.
I can just go through it. What the presentation for tomorrow is like a summary of, yes, I have it here.
Oh, you have it?
What the presentation is for tonight is a lot more detailed than for tomorrow night. Tomorrow, we had a limited amount of time, so we wanted to go through it in a lot more detail with the Board of Selectmen and the road commissioners and road committees so that everybody was on the same page as far as what our understanding is, what we did, and what we want to do as far as steps moving forward. Okay, so if you don't have this, I don't know, Cindy, if you had extra copies. I gave this to Jennifer to make copies.
Yeah, I have that, I can get that
Here.
online.
Do you want me to
So I
make
have
a
it.
copy, or?
I think we've each had a copy.
You guys have one?
Yeah.
I can make one after we're done.
Yeah, it's not in this package here. Sorry.
It's not in here.
No.
No.
I gave it to her the other day. It starts out Acton Roads Committee presentation, August 21st. Do you have a copy of it there?
You do.
Okay. I'll try and go through it rather quickly, so.
Okay.
The RSMS 16 system that we got required us to go through all of the roads in the town, the public roads in the town, and to look at variables within the roads themselves. And in the handouts that you have, there's you see a handout of actually the form that we filled out But when we went through it, we found that there was 46 miles of paved public roads and approximately 2 miles of gravel road, and we have several bridges that the town is responsible for as well. We know that the road committee knows that there's a limited budget. Obviously, it'd be nice to fix all the roads, get them all fixed up and maintain them. Unfortunately, with the cost of doing that, we know that that's not a feasible way of moving forward. So what we'd like to do is build a plan that would say what roads are most important for getting repaired, which ones for paving, and so we can move forward and build a plan for the next 3 to 5 years so that we can make it so all our roads are good traveling for both the citizens and the travelers who come into the town. In summary, what the RSMS does is tells us what roads, uses an algorithm based on the input, and it uses an algorithm, and it says whether a road needs no maintenance, whether it's routine maintenance, preventive maintenance, it needs to be rehabilitated, or it needs to be reconstructed. Of those 5 categories, there's also a graph that indicates how much of it, what part of the township is in each one of these categories, and it gives you a curve as to where we stand, and it doesn't give anything really specific, but it gives you a general idea of how it works, and again, that is in your handout there. What we're proposing is maintaining the bridges to ensure safe travel, maintaining roads and connected drainage to ensure the longest possible life of roads, maintaining culverts and other drainage techniques to ensure the longest possible life for the roads, maintaining signs to ensure safe driving, repaving major flawed roads, and reconstruction of roads with poor road foundations. The form that we filled out, and again, it's in the handouts you have there, there is was a road name, and there's also a section. So if a road could be broken down into multiple sections, and a good example of that is H Road, where we have different levels of pavement. We broke it down into 3 sections. The starting and ending points of the road, the length of it, the width of it, the shoulder type, the shoulder width, the importance of the road, and the traffic. And the way that we did it with the system is importance and traffic, we basically made the same number. It was a 1 through 5. One of the things that we also did, we got a list of the bus routes that go through the town, through Del Mar or whatever their name is, and out of Sanford, and they provided us a list of all the roads. So that is also part of the RSMS 16 system. It's noted in there which roads are used for busing. Some of the things that the major things that we were looking for, alligator cracking, longitude and transverse cracking, edge cracking, patches and potholes, roughness, rutting, and drainage. And as we drove down the road, we made note of what we thought that was for that particular part of the road, that section of the road, or the entire road. And we made notes on that and indicated whether the problem that we were seeing of one of these 2, 4, 6, 7 categories was it severe, in the sense, was it greater than 30% of the road? Was it between 10 and 30% of the road, or less than 10%? So we decided on that number as we drove down the road. And then we indicated whether it was really bad or not too bad, or was in good shape. And then those those categories that we selected were used in the algorithm to say what kind of maintenance that road might require. The biggest problem that I think we found was damage to the roads is caused a lot by drainage. A lot of the shoulders were in very poor condition. The drainage on them was poor. In a lot of places there was where the gravel and or dirt along the side of the road was actually washed away, and there was even a 2 or 3 inch drop from the pavement onto the shoulder, which obviously can be very dangerous in driving, particularly at night. And what we'd like to do is make sure that, in addition to just paving roads, that we don't just do the shoulders when the roads are paved, newly paved, but the shoulders are kept up to date, so that that shoulder can help support the road and keep it from, particularly from edge cracking. There's a list, and it goes into what new maintenance, routine maintenance, preventive maintenance, and rehabilitation and reconstruction are. In the handout that we have actual definitions of what those things are, and those will be made available. I guess we can do that through a PDF or something. We can post this onto the website. Okay. We also did several pages of reports from the road or the RSMS system, and in the first example that we have, which is on page 11, is H Road where it was newly paved, and you can see how nice the shoulder is. It's even with the road. It's gravel supported, and looks like it's in really good shape. And I believe, Cindy, weren't you trying to get some information from?
Yes, FR Carroll did that, and they did it along with their paving. They have the machine to do it. They go with a truck, and then a machine comes behind it and compacts it, evens it out, and sweeps it. And that's where you get that nice firm base next to the side that supports your road. Our biggest problem is our roads are narrow, and with traffic, we pull off to the side, and when you don't have that firm support on the side, you get all the edge cracking. And we especially see it on the roads where we have gravel pits and big trucks traveling over them, and the same thing, they're going over to the side and cracking it up. And by maintaining it and doing the crack sealing and maintaining these shoulders, you will support that road. However, FR Carroll has a machine. They will make it available after the end of their paving season. Last year, they went in and did the town of Waterboro, and were in there for a week after it was too cold to do the asphalt paving. And I really feel that's the way to do our biggest problems are our shoulders and our drainage. And our biggest expense should probably be crack sealing at this point, because most of our road surfaces were really quite good, and remarkably good.
Yes. Do we know how many miles they did it in Waterboro?
No, he didn't say.
Okay. That might be a good idea to find out how many miles they did and what the cost was, just so we have something to compare with.
Well, and he made it clear that it was possibly available.
Yeah.
They'll use it as long as they can. So it could be worth getting back to them, but then that's a decision that you have to make as to how you want to spend and how you feel the money should be best spent.
Can you get in touch with Carol again and number one, ask them what kind of mileage they had over there and the costs, and then see if they could give us how they go about as far as maybe doing an estimate or something to give us an idea of how they handle that?
I'll definitely give them a try.
Okay.
I've had a hard time getting through to crack sealing companies. Everybody's very busy right now.
That's the
They're all
problem.
out
You gotta be
working, but I'll give it a try again and see if I can get a price.
It's one of the problems you have is that you need to schedule these things so far in advance that if
Yeah.
you don't get them in time, it's basically wait another year. So we have to, even for planning for next summer, we need to start getting in touch with people to make some kind of progress forward.
Okay, so this is a great explanation of what you guys did and what the system's spitting, the information that's going to spit out what needs to be paid attention to. So, is this what you're presenting to tomorrow night?
The one that I'm presenting tomorrow night says Road and Sign Management System Review, Tuesday, October 21st on the front of it.
Okay.
Now, it's not that entire handout because that's got all the reports
Right.
and the bridge pictures and that.
So the reports start at the inventory list?
Yes.
Did you want to go over anything that stood out in the report from the computer?
Well, I think the main thing that I'm not sure if you have pictures of them, but actually the first report is the road condition decline curve, which is the page before the, should have been the one right before the inventory.
Right before the inventory.
Which picture?
It's the curve.
Oh, the curved road.
It tells you which roads are in good condition, not which roads, but roads that are in good condition versus preventive versus rehabilitative versus reconstruct. And the curve shows you that basically we have a good portion of our roads in good condition that should be in condition for like 10 years.
Really?
But then we see a big drop off towards the end where,
These are all like bridge pictures, right? Yeah. Why isn't it in here?
you don't have it there?
Seen it, or is it in the PowerPoint? Oh, yeah, it was the last page of the PowerPoint. So you're saying very good, a lot of them are very good, and then you've got some in the routine?
Well, the routine and the high level of preventive, they're basically good for about 10 years. But the point is, with those roads, you still have to maintain them by doing the crack sealing and all that, because if you don't do it, they will very quickly fall down into the lower level of preventive or rehabilitation. So you need, even if the road is in good condition, you need to keep maintenance on it, like the shoulders and sealing of the cracks. And if you don't seal the cracks right away, sooner longitude and transverse cracks suddenly become alligator cracks, which suddenly become potholes and rutting, and now you're paying for chunks of paving rather than just doing a sealer.
And we're in the position where really most of our roads right now need crack sealing
Okay.
as opposed to resurfacing, which is great.
It's a lot of money.
It'll save us a lot of money and stabilizing the sides.
It's not that it's going to save you money, it's going to let you get more mileage completed and up to date. For example, if you were going to spend $60,000 on paving, if you spent that $60,000 on crack sealing, you would get a lot more
I
miles.
was just going to say,
Yeah.
wouldn't we get a lot more?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot more boom for your dollar.
Okay, then we have the inventory report, which you talked about, Elise. And you notice there's 3 lines on there that are highlighted. Those are roads that are not just completely municipal roads. There's some that are state aid, and there's one that's municipal just in the summertime.
Okay.
And this is where we need to make some corrections because Horn Road is on the state list.
It's on the state list.
Because
yeah.
it's on the map, yeah. And also, we have to add Hawk Road, that part of it that was accepted, so we'll get the money for it.
Okay.
And 13th Street remains a mystery about how you want to deal with that. We're maintaining it. However, it's still listed as a private road on the state list. So therefore, we're not getting the money, although we have the expenditure. But
So, looking at the roads inventory list, at Acton Ridge Road, if the surface condition says no maintenance with the number 8, what does that mean?
That means that it's in good condition. No maintenance would be 10. There is crack sealing that's required, though, in some locations. It's a small amount.
So a 10 means nothing, but if the number goes down, then...
Yes.
Okay. So, Baker Lane is a perfect 10, doesn't need any attention.
Not right now, no.
But an 8, let's take a look at it, it could be some crack sealing. The drainage condition is poor. It says
Sorry, what was that
poor.
one?
The drainage condition says poor, but it also has an 8.
Right. That's basically where, when you when you go around bends and that, where there's a drop of 2 to 3 inches, maybe in some places even more, where the pavement and the shoulder are actually different heights, which, it's probably one of the speedier roads around, even though there's a speed limit on it, that, becomes very dangerous. And again, when the shoulder is not abutted against the pavement, then that's when the edge cracking starts, because there's no support for it on the outside, and it starts to chip off.
So Buzzell to Langley, looks like it needs to be rehabilitated?
Yeah, it's in bad shape.
That's a rough road.
And
Counties are, okay.
the Buzzell Road, we're talking like from Little Red Schoolhouse up, right? Is that what you're talking about? We just pave part of that?
Just Young's Ridge.
Okay, I was just thinking part of Buzzell had been paved, but what's up with the development?
Yeah,
That's
there's-
That's,
A lot of changes up there.
yeah, because I took a ride out recently. County Cut Road, where is that?
So looking at this, how would you like tackle which road should be paid attention to, which road should we be considered in the budget next year?
Well, I think that's what we're trying to point out here, is that we need to sit down as a group
Okay.
with members from the different parties involved in this, the road committee, the board of selectmen, and the road commissioners, and say, look, here's what we have here. We have an inventory, we have a condition of the roads. What should we be tackling first? Again, and if you're asking my opinion, I think that drainage and cracking are probably number one to look at. Because once we get the roads drainage straightened out, and the shoulders in good condition, then we know the road itself is not going to be tumbling over on the sides.
Okay,
And when we drive around, that's the biggest problem we have.
okay. I'm seeing a lot of pores in the drainage area.
Yep.
I mean, even on H Road, just past the dump, I believe there's like maybe 3 or 4 inches of where the shoulder drops down just
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit.
I
And then
remember
there's
that.
like a gully
Yeah.
that just runs around where the water runs down the hill. I mean, those are the kinds of things that need to be cleaned up, and some kind of ditching done.
Okay,
And again, companies do that kind of stuff for us, can do it for us.
okay. So what's the difference between the Acton Roads inventory list and the paved network inventory? Why are we getting, it almost looks the same. You have the importance, you have traffic
Which one are you looking at?
status. What's that one? Paved network inventory?
It's by surface type. One is paved, and one section's
okay, so
paved, and one
You
section's
want to just
gravel.
look at the paved?
Just breaks it out, it's a little more detailed.
Okay, so you have one and it's by drainage status.
Yes. And these are all standard reports that come out of the RSMS.
Okay,
Nice.
So whenever it gets updated, you can run another set of reports just to see how it is.
and then you have it by surface, okay, this is good. By surface status. And then you have a chart on the paved roads based on drainage. You can see a lot of them are poor.
Yes,
Charts.
that was the biggest thing that was pointed out by Phil the first day.
Okay, so Acton Roads Network overview. That's good to see, no maintenance on the high side.
Mhm.
Routine, preventative,
Preventative,
Yep.
rehabilitation.
okay. And then you have notes. Okay, so you typed in these notes.
Yes. And
Large boulders.
they were updated, I updated them on Friday because I got the bus routes.
Oh,
That doesn't have the bus routes in there.
Oh.
But I added them to each of the roads. If a one of the buses, whether grade school or high school, I mark on their high school, grade school bus route, so that we know what those are, and if you're ever putting together some kind of a plan as far as snow plowing or anything like that, those are the kind of roads you want to make sure you hit first, so school buses can travel.
Okay.
In the future, it would be good to have the snowplow routes on there also.
Yes, we could, for each road, we could actually assign a route number to it, so that when somebody has a contract for doing snow plowing, they have a route number, and it can control, or it can be noted in the system here, and we would know who the contractor is for that. And there's also a place to put budget information in. So, say if you budget, $300,000 for snow plowing for the year, and you have 46 miles, you can actually break that down into, by mile, how much each road gets. So if you have a road that's 5 miles long, it's basically 1/9 or 1/10 of the overall road length for the town. That would get about 1/10 of your budget. And a lot of this stuff all we're trying to do right now is build a base.
Right.
We have to start someplace, and, as time goes on, we can modify the numbers on these things for the importance of roads, the traffic volume of the roads, and, obviously, whenever you do any kind of maintenance, you want to make sure you go back and update this.
And if we have questions, we can get counters, put them on roads and see.
How long ago were these pictures taken? Just
Which ones?
any of them?
Are you looking at the bridges, or are you looking at the
Just
Last week.
week and a half ago? And I think that's another thing, another part, once we're finished talking about the roads, that we do want to talk about the bridges and responsibility for maintaining them, responsibility for deciding what needs to get done with them. I would tell you, most of the bridges need to have a lot of just landscaping work done around them. We have trees and bushes and weeds that are right up to the bridges. In a couple places, bushes or small trees were cut down, but they just let them lay there, and there's little stumps sticking out like 2 or 3 inches. Somebody walking along there trips on one. You know what's going to happen, but
And there are guardrails that haven't been addressed.
Yeah.
And that's a that's a liability issue, and it's been listed in the last 2 letters from DOT.
which bridge we talking about?
All three of them.
All three of them.
All three of them.
I know that one of them, West Shore Drive, they're supposed to be...
West Shore is bad and Row Bridge is bad.
ordered, I think that's something that was talked about, that side, and they're supposed to be getting...
Yeah, there's also a possibility of some grant money there. Leslie,
I left a phone call, message for Wendy, and then Arnie had told me that John McLean took over for Wendy. So I have his number, and I've left a message for him also.
right.
But I have not heard anything back.
There's a possibility that stream crossing money could be available. There's some being released in the next few weeks or month. And there are a couple of areas where this might help us. On the Canal Road, not Canal, but New Bridge down there.
Oh, yep.
Coming
I
up
can
to
see
where
that
it's
falling
low.
apart.
The Hopper Road where it's real low might be another area for this possibility. And I immediately thought of West Shore Drive and the big culvert there that we know is
right eventually.
rotting out underneath. So it's we'll take a look. If we can get free money, we want it.
Yeah. So you guys are looking into that? Okay, thank you.
And we also, speaking of the bridges, the bridge at the end of Milton Mills is, even though it's a state bridge, trucks can't go across there, So what they're doing is they're turning down Front Street, and so Front Street is getting all torn up, and those are big trucks, and not the small ones, but the log trucks and that, and
They're fully loaded when they come that
They
way.
hit that
So
corner.
what is the state waiting for as far as repairing that bridge?
What'd they say, 2024, 5 or 7, up high before they even get to this Milton Mills Bridge, is what I heard.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
because there's another one right, they figured there's another one right over on Fox's Ridge.
Right, so.
So it'll probably be less of a priority. However, we should be contacting our state reps and saying, how about Acton?
Yeah.
I mean, being
That's
ag,
a
that's,
main, everybody comes down that, or.
oh, it does, yeah.
I mean, I don't go that way anymore, just because.
No, that's almost 600 cars a day. So do we, what can we answer for you?
I just wanted to be able to understand the reports that were spit out, and I think I got a grasp on that.
Unbelievable job.
I know. You said this took 4 days?
No, it was only 2 on the road, but Chuck spent many, many more hours putting this together.
And I
When we
think-
did it before, we were getting out and measuring. This was estimating as we went for the width of the road. So we didn't have all the tape measure stuff, and we didn't do culverts. This is simply giving you road surface and drainage. But that's where you want to start anyway. Your drainage is your larger part of it. And I have a list of a couple of other roads that should be addressed with drainage. Garvin is one that's a big problem because of Eagle down below where it dumps and goes right into Wilson. And if we dealt with Garvin and put in what's called check dams on one side of it, we could just bring the water slowly down to the swamp as opposed to dumping it through 2 septic systems into Wilson Lake. So I think that should be a project that's on the list of jobs to be done. I didn't see it on what had been submitted, but I feel that's an important. And just one other question for you. We're still waiting for the forms for Article 43. Have they
The
been?
lawyer, I just got an email, the lawyer looked at it, and she had questions that Jennifer will address at tomorrow's meeting, at the selectmen's meeting.
This has to
I
be the
don't-
most lawyered up piece of paper that the world has
She had
seen.
concerns, I can't remember what she said.
The lawyer, I
The
didn't.
lawyer had
I haven't
concerns.
looked at it yet, so.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
So
Hopefully it's
from the Board of Selectmen standpoint, how do you think we should proceed as far as trying to put together a plan, and getting something started right away? These bridges, I think, are going to become a major problem after another winter and next spring when with a lot of water flow, we don't know what's going to happen. I will also tell you on Row Bridge, there's 2 trees that are one's completely dead. It's hanging on the wires
like that
over
picture, yeah.
over the bridge. So it really should be cut down. First thing is, when it falls, definitely the lines are going to go down. It's already above the lines and hanging on them. The other tree is still alive. It's a little bit further down. It's on the main side, and it goes all the way over the river onto the New Hampshire side. And it looks like if it falls, it could do damage to the bridge also, although that's a live tree. And then just the general maintenance around all the bridges really needs to be addressed. It's hard to even see some of the problems we have because the weeds are growing so high and water levels still are a little bit up. Over on West Bridge, the water level was low, and every corner of that culvert is rusted out. And some of them are like, 18, 24 inches long and maybe 6 inches wide. So who knows what the bottom of that is like?
And with the grant that you're looking into, if that culvert was taken care of, would the grant reimburse? Or does
Well,
it
we
have to
don't
be-
know until we find out more about the grant money.
I don't think the
I
grant,
got an email from Linda Shire. She said to contact Wendy And I asked Leslie if she would, because I know their road has had experience with getting a 319 grant before.
Okay.
This is different, but it's the kind of the
Did you say
same.
this is for stream crossings? Is that what you
Stream
said?
crossings, at least you've got, didn't I give you a booklet on the stream
Yeah.
crossings? It's a better way to do things. A culvert lasts about 20 years, stream crossing 50 to 75. And it's more natural, it doesn't need the maintenance, and it lets everything flow the way it should. And boy, I think West Shore Drive is a really good candidate for that. And hopefully they've got the money. I can see that they already have a list of people that knew about this sooner. So we'll be trying to jump in and make a case.
And it was a limited amount of money.
Yeah,
Well, any little bit helps, because I'm sure these projects are, I mean,
mhm.
take money, that's for sure.
Anything with the roads that goes to the attorneys, I'd like to see the questions in writing and the answers in writing, because the laws are complicated, and many of us that have worked with them are quite familiar with them and might be able to help with the wording so that the lawyer doesn't wind up confused. It's kind of like if you pass it through a couple of people, perhaps the question isn't being asked clearly enough. Because I know that that piece of material had been gone over very thoroughly before
Could be something
before
very
you guys
simple.
even got it
Yeah,
the
I
first
don't know.
time. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's still in writing is the way to go.
Yeah.
Conversation just,
oh, definitely.
and they're charging every 6 to 10 minutes, those lawyers.
They do.
It seems like something we need to do right, and I'm not a lawyer. It's, a lot of money to be giving out, and I want to make sure we do it right.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Just-
Yeah.
So where are you at with, do you know how long the presentation will be tomorrow?
I'm gonna try and make it like 15 minutes.
Okay. Do you have any questions of us?
I guess he wants to know kind of which way we want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the next step I would imagine would be to, budget season's coming up.
Yeah.
Is it with the road commissioners?
Well, number one is we have 3 bridges that need to be addressed. Obviously, they need to be evaluated to see what needs to be done first. And I don't know whether any money has been spent on the bridges yet this year, but
You're
if they,
talking Row, Canal, and what else?
Yeah,
West Shore.
what has been,
West Shore.
what has been done, the list has been given, the road commissioners have that, and I have their list of, this is the work they were going to do this year. They gave it to you guys.
They did.
It'd be good to know where they are on it and maybe compare it to what we have. But I'm sure you guys have this.
Yeah, and my.
Yeah.
But
finance book.
see how far they've come with their work this year.
I'm sorry.
But I don't have
He's
anything
working
else.
on,
Does anybody else?
Bridge right now. It's not listed on there.
Well, maybe because of the fact that, we've had a few meetings about Canal Road and stuff, so maybe that's why he's over there. Yeah, I know, it's not on here, that's why I was kind of... I know we've talked about the road bridge and doing some cleanup there.
I think what we
He's
needed
gotten together with Jennifer to do they're supposed to put a bid, request for bid out in the newspaper.
Well, I think that's jumping the gun. I think you gotta clean that up and get your guardrails all straightened out first, frankly, before you start taking bids on anything. And find out, are we gonna split that money with, if we do get are we gonna split that money with Milton? So far, they haven't been,
Nobody's been talking to Milton. Were you talking to Milton?
I had talked to Milton probably 6 months ago when, again, money, it's the,
Yeah.
they're not looking at any money until
I don't want to see us stuck with $20,000 in engineering bills that we can go nowhere with,
Right, if it's not.
where we're better off using it to maintain that bridge, fix the concrete. We dug up, Chuck and I dug into the hole on that downstream side on the deck, and he reached under, and he can reach under the asphalt, and you can see where the water's going through and coming out on the right-hand side downstream. You can see the spalling right there at the edge. Now, actually, you shouldn't put asphalt over concrete because it deteriorates the concrete. But it happened and it's there. But at least we've got to that hole's got to be patched. And the basic liability issues of the guardrails need to be addressed. We've had these letters, and I know you guys have too, 2 years in a row. And the last one was last April.
I have to be
And,
honest, I think I went back as far as 2011, and it
well,
was the same issue.
so if something happens, we're hung out to dry there. And this is stuff, the road commissioners do not have to do this work if they don't have time.
No, if you
This
can-
is something, you can do with someone else.
It's just looking for something.
I have another copy of that. You can
No.
keep it if you want.
I have one.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else?
Again, just from the bridge perspective, I think we need to start doing some planning as to, number one, get it in condition to be evaluated, and then make sure that we have the money for sometime in the near future to get that evaluation done, so we can find out what the overall costs are going to be to get them repaired. We can't, if you keep delaying it, so the expense of fixing them is just going to be greater.
I guess we're probably all gonna need to get together and have a meeting. I mean, that would be to start trying to figure out which way we're gonna go.
I think it's good when we're all together. I'm sorry, I say Dave just came in. I'm sorry he wasn't here earlier. I think it makes sense when you guys talk to the road commissioners that we were included, and then everybody is on the same page.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we want to keep talking?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hard work.
I know.